July 13th, 2025, the Diamond Prajna Paramita Sutra. Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha, Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha, Namo Fundamental Teacher Shakyamuni Buddha. The Dharma, infinitely profound and subtle, is rarely called, countered even in a million kalpas. Now we're able to hear, study, and follow it. May we fully realize the Tathagata's true meaning. Thus have I heard. Once the Buddha was staying in Anavantika's park at Jetagrove in Sravasti with a community of 1,250 bhikshus. When it was mealtime, the world honorable put on his robe, took his alms toll, went into the great city of Sravasti, going from house to house to pay for food. This done, he returned to his abiding place, finished the meal, put away his robe and bowl, washed his feet, arranged his seat, and sat down. Then the elder Subhuti, one of the most senior in the assembly, rose from his seat, bared his right shoulder, knelt on his right knee, joined his palms respectfully, and addressed the Buddha. How remarkable, world honorable, that the Tathagata is ever mindful of bodhisattvas, protecting, instructing well. World honorable, when good men and good women resolve to attain unyuttara bodhi, how should they abide and how should they subdue their minds? The Buddha said, excellent, excellent, Subhuti. It is, as you said, that the Tathagata is ever mindful of bodhisattvas, protecting, instructing well. Now listen attentively, I'll explain it for you. Good men and good women who resolve to attain unyuttara bodhi should thus abide and subdue their minds. Yes, world honorable, listening with great anticipation, the Buddha said to Subhuti, the bodhisattvas and mahasattvas should thus subdue their minds. All the different types of sentient beings, whether they're born from eggs, from wombs, moisture by transformation, whether they have form or no form, whether they have thoughts or no thoughts, or have neither thought nor non-thought, I will liberate them by leading them to nirvana without residue. When immeasurable, countless, infinite sentient beings have been liberated, ultimately, no sentient beings have been liberated. Why? Subhuti, if bodhisattvas have any notions of self-personality being a lifespan, they're not bodhisattvas. Furthermore, Subhuti, the practice of charity. Bodhisattvas should abide in nothing whatsoever. That is, to practice charity without abiding in form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or dharma. Subhuti, bodhisattvas should practice charity this way, abiding in nothing. Why? Bodhisattvas practice charity without attachment. Their merits are immeasurable. Subhuti, what do you think? Is the space in the eastern direction measurable? No, world honorable. Subhuti, is any of the space in the southern, western, or northern directions, the four intermediate directions above or below, measurable? No, world honorable. Subhuti, the merits obtained by the bodhisattvas who practice charity without attachments also is measurable as such. Subhuti, bodhisattvas should thus abide by what is just taught. Subhuti, what do you think? Can the Tathagata be recognized by means of physical appearance? No, world honorable. The Tathagata cannot be recognized by his physical appearance. Why? The Tathagata teaches that physical appearances are actually not physical appearances. Buddha said to Subhuti, all appearances are illusory. To see that appearances are not appearances, to see that Tathagata. Subhuti addressed the Buddha, world honorable, will there be any sentient beings who give rise to true faith upon hearing this teaching? The Buddha said to Subhuti, do not even say such a thing. After my passing in the last 500 years, there will be those observing precepts who, and cultivating merits, who have the faith that these words are truth. You should know that these people have not merely cultivated virtues roots with one Buddha, two Buddhas, 3, 4, or 5 Buddhas. They've cultivated all kinds of virtues roots with hundreds of thousands, even countless numbers of Buddhas. Upon hearing these passages, some will, in an instant, give rise to pure faith. Subhuti, the Tathagata knows and sees these beings perfectly as they obtain such countless merits. Why? It's because these sentient beings are free from the notions of self, person, sentient being, lifespan. They're also free from the notions of dharmas and non-dharmas. Why? The minds of these sentient beings have attachments, they're clinging to the notions of self, person, sentient being, or lifespan. If they have attachments of dharmas, they're clinging to the notions of self, person, sentient being, or lifespan. Why? If they have the attachment of non-dharmas, they're clinging to the notions of self, person, sentient being, or lifespan. Therefore, one should not cling to dharmas or non-dharmas. For this reason, the Tathagata often teaches bhikshus, know that my dharma is like a raft. If even the dharma should be abandoned, how much more so the non-dharma? Subhuti, what do you think? As the Tathagata attained unyuttara bodhi, does he teach the dharma? Subhuti said, as I understand the meaning of what the Buddha has said, there is no fixed dharma called unyuttara bodhi, and there is also no fixed dharma that the Tathagata can teach. Why? The dharma taught by the Tathagata cannot be grasped or explained. It is neither dharma nor non-dharma. How is this so? It's because all the saints and sages are distinguished by the unconditioned dharma. Subhuti, what do you think? If a person would fill a trichilocosm with 7 jewels and give them away in charity, wouldn't the merits obtained by this person be great? Subhuti said, extremely great, world honorable, even though the merits obtained is not the nature of merit. The Tathagata says the merits obtained are great, but a person studies and follows even the mere 4-line verse of this sutra and teaches it to others, this person's merits exceed the former's. Why? Subhuti, all the Buddhas and Bodhis and the realization of unyuttara bodhi originate from the principles in this sutra. Subhuti, that which is called the Buddha Dharma is not the Buddha Dharma, therefore it's called the Buddha Dharma. Subhuti, what do you think? Does the Strodapana have the thought I've attained the realization of Strodapana? Subhuti said, no, world one. Why? Strodapana means stream enter, but there's nothing to enter. Therefore, one who does not enter the form, sounds, meditation, dharmas is called a Strodapana. Subhuti, what do you think? Does the Sakratagamin have the thought I've attained the realization of Sakratagamin? Subhuti said, no, world one. Why? Sakratagamin means go and come one more time, but there's in reality no going and no coming. Therefore, one is called a Sakratagamin. Subhuti, what do you think? Does an Anagamin have thought I've attained the realization of the Anagamin? Well, world one. Why? Anagamin means non-returning, but there is in fact no such thing as non-returning. Therefore, one is called an Anagamin. Subhuti, what do you think? Does an Arhat have thought of attaining the realization of the Arhat? Subhuti said, no, world one. Why? There is in reality no such thing as an Arhat. World one, if an Arhat gives rise to thought of attaining the Arhat, this means they're attached to the notion of self, person, and life, lifespan. World when you have said that of all people I am foremost in attaining the samadhi of non-contention and the foremost Arhat being free from desires, world one, do not have thought of an Arhat who is free from desires. World one, if I had given rise to thought of attaining the Arhathood, you would not have said Subhuti practices Arjana, abiding peacefully in non-contention. In reality, Subhuti abides in nothing at all. Therefore, Subhuti is called the one who abides peacefully in non-contention. The Buddha said to Subhuti, what do you think? When the Tathagata studied under Daipankara Bodhi, did he receive any dharma? No, world on. When the Tathagata studied under Daipankara Bodhi, did he not receive any dharma? Subhuti, what do you think? Does a bodhisattva adorn a world making a Buddha world? No, world on. Why? To adorn the world into a Buddha world is not to adorn, therefore it's called to adorn. So, Subhuti, bodhisattvas and mahasattvas should give rise to a pure mind that does not abide in form, sounds, meditation, sutra, dharmas. They should abide in nothing to give rise to the mind. Subhuti, if there were a person with the body the size of Mount Sumer, what do you think? Would this body be huge? Subhuti said, extremely huge, world on one. Why? The Buddha teaches that the body is not a body, therefore it's called a huge body. Subhuti, what do you think? If there were as many Ganges rivers as grains of sand in the Ganges, wouldn't the amount of sand in all these Ganges rivers be great? Subhuti said, extremely great, world on. When if even the Ganges River are innumerable, how much more so the grains of sand? Subhuti, now let me tell you the truth. A good man or good woman fills as many trichilocosms as there are grains of sand in all those Ganges rivers with the 7 jewels and gives away in charity. Wouldn't these merits be great? Subhuti said, extremely great. The Buddha said, Subhuti, if a good man or good woman is able to study and follow even a mere 4-line verse of the Sutra and teach it to others, their merits are far greater than the former's. Furthermore, Subhuti, wherever one teaches, recites even a mere 4-line verse of the Sutra, that place should be venerated as a Buddha stupa by heavenly beings, human beings, and asuras in this world. How much more so is the case where one can completely read, recite, study, and follow the Sutra? Subhuti, you should know such a person has achieved the highest, rarest of accomplishments. Wherever the Sutra is present, the Buddha or his revered disciples are also present. Then Subhuti addressed the Buddha, world on one. What should we call the sutra and how should we call it? The Buddha said to Subhuti, this sutra is called Diamond Prajna Paramita. In accord with this title, you should uphold the sutra. How is it so? Subhuti, the Buddha teaches that Prajna Paramita is not Prajna Paramita, therefore it's called Prajna Paramita. Subhuti, what do you think? Does the Tathagata have any dharma to teach? Subhuti said to the Buddha, world on one, the Tathagata has nothing to teach. Subhuti, what do you think? Are all the tiny particles contained in this trichilocosm great numbers? Subhuti said, extremely great, world on one. Subhuti, the Tathagata teaches tiny particles are not tiny particles, therefore they're called tiny particles. The Tathagata teaches that worlds are not worlds, therefore they're called worlds. Subhuti, what do you think? Can the Tathagata be recognized by means of his 32 good marks? No, world on one. The Tathagata cannot be recognized by means of his 32 good marks. Why? The Tathagata teaches that 32 good marks are not good marks, therefore they're called the 32 good marks. Subhuti, if a good man or good woman gives away their body and life as many times as there are grains of sand in the Ganges in charity. If another studies and follows even a 4-line verse of the Sutra and teaches others, the latter's merits far exceed the former's. Upon hearing the Sutra, Subhuti was moved to tears. Having deeply understood its meaning and significance, he said to the Buddha, how remarkable, world honor, when you have taught us such a profound Sutra. Even though I have long attained the wisdom, I have never heard such a teaching before, world honor. When if someone who hears this Sutra gives rise to pure faith and thus perceives the true nature of reality, we should know that this person has achieved the most extraordinary merit, world honor one. The true nature of reality is not the true nature of reality. Therefore, it is what the Tathagata calls the true nature of reality. World on one, having just heard the Sutra, I have no difficulty in believing, comprehending, studying, and following it. But in the ages to come, in the last 500 years, if there are sentient beings who hear the Sutra and then believe, comprehend, study, and follow it, they will be the foremost remarkable beings. Why? These beings do not have any notion of self, personality, being a lifespan. How is this so? A self is not a self. Appearances of persons sentient being a lifespan, and likewise not their appearances. Why? Those who relinquish all appearances and notions are called Buddhas. Buddha said to Subhuti, so it is, so it is. You should know. If someone hears the sutras neither shocked, frightened, nor disturbed, this person's extremely wrong. Why? Subhuti, the Tathagata says the foremost paramita is not the foremost paramita, therefore it's called the foremost paramita. Subhuti, the Tathagata teaches the tolerance paramita is not tolerance paramita, therefore it's called tolerance paramita. Why? Subhuti, in a former lifetime, my body was mutilated by King Kalinga. At that time, I had no notions of self-person sending being a lifespan. Why? I had any notions of self-person sending being a lifespan. As my body was being dismembered limb after limb, I would have given rise to feelings of resentment and hatred. Subhuti, I also recall that for 500 lifetimes, I was a Rishi of tolerance. At that time, I was also free from the notion of self-person sending being a lifespan. Therefore, Subhuti, bodhisattvas should relinquish all appearances and notions in their resolve to attain unyutara Bodhi. They should not abide in form, sound, smell, taste, touch, always to give rise to mind. They should give rise to mind without abiding in anything. Any abidance of the mind is attachment. Therefore, the Buddha says a bodhisattva should practice charity without a mind abiding in any form. Subhuti, to benefit all sentient beings, a bodhisattva should practice charity in this way. The Tathagata teaches that all appearances and notions are not appearances, notions that all sentient beings are not sentient beings. Subhuti, what the Tathagata speaks is true, real, and as it is. His words are neither deceptive nor contradictory. Subhuti, the truth that Tathagata has attained is neither real nor unreal. Subhuti, if a bodhisattva practices charity with the mind, not abiding in something, they're like people entering darkness and thus not seeing anything. If a bodhisattva practices charity with the mind, without abiding in anything, they're like people with eyes wide open, seeing all things clearly under the bright sunlight. Subhuti, if in a future time there are good men and good women who are able to read, recite, study, and follow this sutra, the Tathagata with his Buddha with them clearly perceive and recognize each one of them as they all achieve infinite and immeasurable merit. Subhuti, if a good man or good woman offers their body in charity as many times as there are grains of sand in the morning, and then does likewise at noon and in the evening, thus continuing for immeasurable hundreds of thousands, millions of kalpas, and if someone else hears this sutra and gives rise to unwavering faith, the latter's merits far exceed the former's. How much more so the merits of those who transcribe, read, recite, study, follow, and explain to others this sutra. In short, Subhuti, this sutra carries inconceivable, immeasurable, limitless merit. The Tathagata teaches it to benefit aspirants of great vehicle as well as aspirants of the supreme vehicle. The Tathagata knows and sees those who are able to read, recite, study, follow, and widely teach to others the sutras. They achieve innumerable, immeasurable, limitless, inconceivable merit. They indeed carry on the work of the Tathagata, bringing beings to unyutara Bodhi. Why, Subhuti, those who are content with inferior teachings have notions of the self-person sending their lifespan. Such people are not able to hear, read, recite, study, and explain to others the sutra. Subhuti, wherever the sutra is present, all heavenly beings, human beings, and asuras in all the world should come together and make offerings. Wherever the sutra is present, that place is a stupa. All should respectfully circumambulate it, scattering fragrant flowers all around it. Furthermore, Subhuti, suppose there are good men or good women who read, recite, study, and follow the sutra, but are belittled by others. This is because of the previous bad karma, which would have otherwise caused them to be reborn in the wretched destinies, but now by enduring the disparagement of others, this previous bad karma is eradicated, and they will eventually attain unyutara Bodhi. I remember that countless kalpas ago, before the time of Datamkara Buddha, I encountered 84 millions of billions of Nayutas and made offerings to and served all of them without fail. However, if someone in the Dharma ending age can read, recite, study, and follow the sutra, this person's merits will be 100 times, even 100 trillion times greater than when I made offerings to all these Buddhas. In fact, no such comparison by calculation analogy is possible. Subhuti, if I fully reveal the merits obtained by good men and good women who read, recite, study, and follow the sutra during the Dharma ending age, some people, upon hearing it, might become skeptical and hysterical and dismiss it. Subhuti, you should know the underlying meaning of the sutra is inconceivable, and its rewards are also inconceivable. Then Subhuti addressed the Buddha world onward. Good men and good women resolved to attain unyutara Bodhi. How should they abide and how should they subdue their minds? The Buddha said to Subhuti, good men and good women who resolve to attain unyutara Bodhi should bear this in mind. I will liberate all sentient beings by bringing them to nirvana. Yet when all sentient beings have been liberated, not a single sentient being has actually attained nirvana. Why? Subhuti, if bodhisattvas have the notions of how a person sending being a lifespan, they're not bodhisattvas. How is this so? Subhuti, there's actually no resolve for the attainment of unyutara Bodhi. Subhuti, what do you think? When the Tathagata studied under Daitankara Buddha, did he obtain anything to attain unyutara Bodhi? No, world onward. As I understand the meaning of your teaching, when you studied under Daitankara Buddha, there was nothing obtained for your attainment of unyutara Bodhi. The Buddha said, so it is, Subhuti, so it is. There is indeed nothing that Tathagata obtained to attain unyutara Bodhi. Subhuti, if there was something obtained to attain unyutara Bodhi, Daitankara Buddha would not have foretold you will obtain Buddhahood in the future with the name Shakyamuni. It's precisely because there is actually nothing obtained to attain unyutara Bodhi that Daitankara Buddha foretold you will obtain Buddhahood in the future with the name Shakyamuni. Why? This is because Tathagata means all dhammas as there really are. Someone says that Tathagata attained unyutara Bodhi. Subhuti, there's in fact nothing obtained in the Buddha's attainment of unyutara Bodhi. Subhuti, the unyutara Bodhi attained by the Tathagata is neither real nor unreal. Therefore, the Tathagata Tathagata teaches that all dharmas are the Buddha dharmas. Subhuti, the so-called all dharmas are not dharmas at all. Therefore, they're called all dharmas. Subhuti, consider the example of a person with the immense perfect body. Subhuti said, world honor, when the person with the immense perfect body has no such body, therefore it's called an immense perfect body. Subhuti, so it is with bodhisattvas. Someone says, I'll bring countless sentient beings to Nirvana. They're not bodhisattvas. Why? Subhuti, there's actually no such thing called a bodhisattva. Therefore, the Buddha says all dharmas are free from the notions of self, a person, and being a lifespan. Subhuti, if a bodhisattva says, I'll adorn the world, making it a Buddha world, they're not bodhisattvas. Why? The Tathagata teaches that to adorn the world into a Buddha world is not to adorn, therefore it's called to adorn. Subhuti, if a bodhisattva realizes the dharma of non-self, that, the Tathagata says, is really a bodhisattva. Subhuti, what do you think? Does the Tathagata have the physical eye? Yes, we're alone. The Tathagata has the physical eye. Subhuti, what do you think? Does the Tathagata have the Deva eye? Yes, we're alone. The Tathagata has the Deva eye. Subhuti, what do you think? Does the Tathagata have the wisdom eye? Yes, we're alone. The Tathagata has the wisdom eye. Subhuti, what do you think? Does the Tathagata have the Dharma eye? Yes, we're alone. The Tathagata has the Dharma eye. Subhuti, what do you think? Does the Tathagata have the Buddha eye? Yes, we're alone. The Tathagata has the Buddha eye. Subhuti, what do you think? Does the Buddha regard all the sand in the Ganges as sand? Yes, we're alone. The Tathagata calls it sand. Subhuti, what do you think? If there were as many Ganges rivers as there are grains of sand in the Ganges, and there were a Buddha world for each grain of sand in all those rivers, would the number of those Buddha worlds be great? Great indeed, we're alone. What the Buddha said to Subhuti, with respect to each and every sentient being dwelling in all these Buddha worlds, the Tathagata is perfectly aware of their minds. Why? The Tathagata teaches that all these minds are not minds, therefore they're called minds. How is it so? Subhuti, the mind of the past is ungraspable, the mind of the present is ungraspable, the mind of the future is ungraspable. Subhuti, what do you think of a person filled with trichilocosm with 7 jewels given away in charity? And with such a deed, would the merits obtained by this person be great? Yes, world onward. This person would obtain extremely great merit from such a deed. Subhuti, if these merits are real, the Tathagata would not say the merits obtained are great. It's only because these merits are not substantial that the Tathagata says the merits obtained are great. Subhuti, what do you think? Can the Buddha be recognized by means of perfect physical body? No, world onward. The Tathagata cannot be recognized by means of perfect physical body. Why? The Tathagata teaches a perfect physical body is not a perfect physical body, therefore it's called a perfect physical body. Subhuti, what do you think? Can the Tathagata be recognized by means of perfect attributes? No, world onward. The Tathagata cannot be recognized by means of perfect attributes. Why? The Tathagata teaches perfect attributes are actually not perfect attributes, therefore they're called perfect attributes. Subhuti, do not think that Tathagata has thought I have something to teach. Do not think this. Why? Whoever says that the Tathagata teaches the Dharma slanders the Buddha because they do not understand my teaching. Subhuti, to teach the Dharma is that there's no Dharma to teach, therefore it's called to teach the Dharma. Then the wise venerable Subhuti said to the Buddha, world onward, will there be sentient beings in the future who will generate faith upon hearing these teachings? The Buddha said, Subhuti, they are neither sentient beings nor non-sentient beings. Why? Subhuti, the Tathagata teaches that sentient beings who go through many births are not sentient beings, therefore they're called sentient beings. Subhuti said to the Buddha, world onward, when the Buddha attained Anuttara Sambuddhi, which nothing actually attained, the Buddha said, so it is, Subhuti, so it is. As to Anuttara Sambuddhi, I have not attained the slightest thing. That's why it's called Anuttara Sambuddhi. Furthermore, Subhuti, all the dharmas are equal. None is superior or inferior. This is called Anuttara Sambuddhi. By cultivating all good, without the notions of self, a person, any being, lifespan, one attains Anuttara Sambuddhi. Subhuti, the Tathagata teaches that good is not good, therefore it is good. Subhuti, if a person accumulates mountains and 7 jewels equivalent size to all Mount Sumers and all the worlds of trichilocosm, and gives away in charity, and another person reads the status, follows, and teaches his Prajnaparamita Sutra, even a mere 4-line verse to others, the former's merits will be less than 100th, even a billionth of the latter's. In fact, the latter's merits are so great that no comparison by calculation knowledge is possible. Subhuti, what do you think? You should not claim that the Tathagata has the thought, I will liberate sentient beings. Subhuti, do not think this way. Why? There are in fact no sentient beings that the Tathagata liberates. If there were sentient beings liberated by the Tathagata, it would mean that the Tathagata has the notion of self, a person, sentient being, a lifespan. Subhuti, when the Tathagata says I, there's actually no I. However, ordinary beings think there's a real I. Subhuti, the Tathagata teaches ordinary beings are not ordinary beings, therefore they're called ordinary beings. Subhuti, what do you think? Can one recognize the Tathagata by means of 32 good marks? Subhuti said, yes, one can recognize the Tathagata by means of 32 good marks. The Buddha said, Subhuti, if one recognized the Tathagata by means of 32 good marks, a wheel-turning sage king would be a Tathagata. Subhuti said to the Buddha, world honor, as I understand the meaning of what you've said, one should not recognize the Tathagata by means of 32 good marks. Then the world honor one spoke this verse. Those who see me in form or seek me through sound are on a mistaken path and do not see the Tathagata. Subhuti, if you think the Tathagata attains Anuttara Sambuddhi without the perfection of all attributes, Subhuti, do not think this way, that the the Tathagata attains Anyatara without the perfection of all attributes. But if you think this way, those who resolve to attain Anyatara would assert the annihilation of the Dharma, so do not think this way. Why? Those who resolve to attain Anyatara do not assert the annihilation of the Dharma. Subhuti, if a bodhisattva were to fill the worlds, as many as grains of sand in the gates, use 7 jewels, and give them away in charity, and another bodhisattva would attain the forbearance and the selfless nature of all dharmas, the merits of this bodhisattva would exceed the former's. Why? Subhuti, this is because bodhisattvas do not accumulate merits. Subhuti said to the Buddha, World Honorer, why is it that bodhisattvas do not accumulate merits? Subhuti, bodhisattvas do not cling to the merits they generate, therefore I say they do not accumulate merits. Subhuti, whoever says that Tathagata goes, comes, sits, or lies down does not understand the meaning of my teaching. Why? The thus come one neither comes nor goes. Therefore they're called the Tathagata. Subhuti, what do you think? A good man or good woman were to take all the worlds of trichilocosm and crush them into tiny particles. Wouldn't these particles be numerous? Subhuti said extremely numerous. Well, why? If these tiny particles had real existence, the Buddha would not call them tiny particles. How is it so? The Buddha teaches tiny particles, not tiny particles, therefore they're called tiny particles. World Honorer, that which the Tathagata calls the worlds of trichilocosm are not actually the worlds, therefore they're called worlds. Why? To the extent, if these worlds really exist, they exist in one wholeness. The Tathagata teaches one wholeness is not one wholeness, therefore it's called one wholeness. Subhuti, one wholeness is actually ineffable, but ordinary beings do cling to such a notion. Subhuti, say someone claims that the Buddha teaches the views of a self-person, sentient being, lifespan. What do you think, Subhuti? Has this person understood the meaning of my teaching? No, World Honorer. This person has not understood the meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Why? The World Honorer teaches that the views of a self-person, sentient being, lifespan are not the views of a self-person, sentient being, lifespan. Therefore, they call the views of self-person, sentient being, lifespan. Subhuti, those who resolve to attain Anyatara should know, perceive, believe, and understand all dharmas just as they are without attaching any dharma attributes. Subhuti, the Tathagata teaches dharma attributes are not dharma attributes, therefore they're called dharma attributes. Subhuti, if a person were to fill the countless worlds with 7 jewels and give them away in charity, and if a good man or good woman, having made the bodhisattva resolve, reads, recites, studies, follows, and expounds to others this sutra, even a mere 4-line verse, the latter's merits far exceed the former's. How should one expound to others without attachment, abiding in stillness and suchness? Why? All conditioned dharmas are like a dream, an illusion, a bubble, a shadow, like dew or a flash of lightning. Thus shall we perceive them. With this, the Buddha concluded the sutra. The elder Subhuti, other bhikshus, bhikshunis, upasakas, upasikas, heavenly and human beings, asuras, and other beings of the world, having just heard the Buddha, were all filled with immense joy. They accepted and followed the teaching faithfully. End of the Diamond Prajnaparamita Sutra. Lipa lipa di che di twalunidi nihiladi pilinidi mahachedi zingli chandi sapoho. Lipa lipa di che di twalunidi nihiladi pilinidi mahachedi zingli chandi sapoho. Lipa lipa di che di twalunidi nihiladi pilinidi mahachedi zingli chandi sapoho. Extinguish doubts and generate faith, relinquish form and transcend principle. Instantly renounce attachment to all beings and dharmas to understand true emptiness. The flavor of prajna is sublime. Thoroughly understand the 4-line verse. Its merits are inconceivable. Namo Buddhas and Bodhisattvas at the Diamond Sutra Assembly. Namo Buddhas and Bodhisattvas at the Diamond Sutra Assembly. Namo Buddhas and Bodhisattvas at the Diamond Sutra Assembly. May all beings of the 4 births and in the 9 realms ascend to the wondrous world of the Lotus Treasury. May those in the 8 woeful states and 3 wretched destinies flow into sea of Irachana. I take refuge in the Buddha. May each and every sentient being understand the great way profoundly and bring forth the Bodhi mind. I take refuge in the Dharma. May each and every sentient being deeply enter the Sutra treasury and have wisdom vast to see. I take refuge in the Sangha. May each and every sentient being form together great assembly, one and all in harmony. What a wonderful blessing to recite this sutra. Let us dedicate this sutra and limitless merits. May all floundering and struggling sentient beings soon reach the Buddha land of infinite light. Buddha is the past, present, future, in the 10 directions, all bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, mahaprajnaparamita. May I remove the 3 obstructions and all afflictions. May I have wisdom to perceive the truth. May all beings be free of transgression and suffering, about to practice the bodhisattva way, life after life.